Okay, so namaste and welcome to this monthly Satsang Q&A session. And this is volume 20. So every month we meet and we try to go through as many questions that have been sent in to be answered. And if you want to send in a question or a challenge that you're having right now for me to address, if you look in the description underneath this video on YouTube, you'll find the link to the Satsang page on our website. And that has a form to fill in that you can send a question in. So there might be two reasons why you might want to send a question in. The first is maybe that you can't attend a Satsang live and ask directly with me, speak to me directly. Maybe you're in a different time zone or you've got to be at work or something. And the second reason is that we read these questions out anonymously. So sometimes it can feel a little scary also to put your hand up in a satsang. Totally understand that. Or you just prefer to have your question read anonymously and answered. So we generally have a little queue of questions. So if you send a question in, it might take a month or so before it gets answered and published. But we do try to read them all. So today I have Valerie here with me to read the questions for me. So we'll just dive in, see how many we get through. When you're ready, Valerie, thank you so much.
Hi, Helen. I'm 83 and still seeking answers to questions that began in my 30s. I came across your channel and was drawn to your teachings because of their understandable clarity. I have a question that I wish to ask. In your teachings that we allow life to unfold rather than interfere with it, how does that pointing apply to extreme situations like a terminal diagnosis or a sudden tragedy? Is allowing about not resisting internally while still taking practical action, treatment, decisions, etc.? Or does it mean something deeper about surrendering the outcome itself? This is where the teaching feels hardest to actually live, and I value your direct pointing on it. With regards and respect.
And thank you. Yeah, it's a common challenge, isn't it, when something happens in our life that is really not what we want or what we would have expected. And of course, it feels very challenging to apply the teachings there. But it's really both of what you said. It is an allowing of uh, life to unfold whichever way it's unfolding for us. And that is easier to do or easy to do once we realize that we're not someone that's doing something, that we are the formless, infinite awareness watching the whatever goes on in the manifestation, including the thoughts, likes and dislikes in the mind, etc. And it is also just taking whatever necessary steps. So whatever your body needs to do, it will do, because there is no separate being getting in the way of that. And that might be going to the doctor, talking about treatment options, taking whatever supplements or medication is recommended, and maybe there might be some change in our lifestyle, our habits as a result of a diagnosis we don't like. All that is unfolding spontaneously. It may feel like I've got this list of options of treatments and I've got to decide which one I want to go with. But in actuality, it's a spontaneous decision arises from um, the real self that is just watching. So it's kind of both of what you described. It's also this deep surrender to the outcome, which again is easier to do if we are established in the recognition of who we are. And of course, it may seem more problematic if we're talking about a physical health condition that might have some serious implications for our longevity. So, in those moments, accepting what is and allowing what is also going to include any fear that arises, any resistance, any self-doubting that goes on. I don't know if I have the capacity to get through this. I don't know what the right thing is for me to do here. All these are thoughts that will probably arise in the mind. Um, Maybe fear and anger or shock or some mix or range of emotions might come up too. So we're allowing and accepting what's going on in the outside world with the body and the doctors and the treatment and everything, allowing the highest to unfold, the highest manifestation will unfold for us the best all around if we can stay as much out of the way of that process as possible. And again, knowing that we are the infinite awareness is the best way. And also an allowing of whatever's going on internally in terms of phenomena such as thoughts and emotions and contractions, etc., in the tensions, pain in the body, but whatever is going on. Um, and it is possible to come to a deeply surrendered outcome. Whichever happens, my body heals or it doesn't. I can come to an acceptance of either of those from what we really are. It doesn't mean we don't have a desire or preference for the body to heal. Of course, we would like to continue our physical existence. And but we can also come to peace if that isn't going to be the case. Not knowing how to do that is totally okay. Just reaching further inside who you know yourself to be and recognizing there must be some capacity in infinite awareness to work with anything, to accept anything that comes in our life. A sudden bereavement or a physical diagnosis or losing our job and not having enough money to support the family or whatever it is. Awareness already knows a way through that. And despite what is going on in the mind and the emotions, there is a way through that. So it's everything you said. Um, Most of all, just not knowing what that process and that journey will look like. Some of the worst things that went on in my life, um, what they really taught me was that I had an idea of what it would look like from awakening. This is how an awakened being would navigate through a serious illness or something. And I came to see I just don't know. It will look like whatever it looks like. Maybe today I'm very accepting of what's happening. Maybe tomorrow I'm having a tantrum and really just cannot process it. Maybe the day after I feel quite despairing. The day after I might feel optimistic. And none of those are rejected or favored from the awakened place. There's a just being with what is, simplicity in that, and also being with this desire for physical healing and health. So I hope that that helps. And if you need more specific help, please just write back in and let us know how you're getting on as well. Thanks, Valerie.
I understand it is not my debt mentally, but how to look at debt from truth?
It's a question that I struggled with for a long time in my own journey. I found myself in a lot of financial debt, and it seemed to be such a cause of shame, the sense of that or unworthiness that if I could get rid of this debt, then I would be finally worthy of awakening. But really, abundance in all forms, in our outer world and in our inner world, abundance of peace, joy, love, abundance in the outer way of time, uh, connections with people that we want, finances, money. Abundance has an infinite number of ways it can appear for us. But the common theme in all of them is that uh, abundance is a reflection of the recognition of our infinite nature. As we realize we're infinite more and more, that reflects as infinite resources. And that doesn't necessarily mean having a huge amount of cash in the bank, but it definitely means getting to a place where you can never run out. There can never be more going out than comes in. So debt, for most of us, the easiest way to look at it spiritually from the awakening perspective is to look at the emotion that seems to come when you think about it. So for me, that was anger, shame, unworthiness, and a deep sense that I had done something wrong to end up in this position. And on the channel here, there's a playlist for contemplation, which is a way that we work with an emotion to find a belief underneath the emotion. We can look at the debt and the emotion as symptoms of something much deeper. That is some unconscious idea. For me, shame was this feeling that I don't deserve to exist. This idea, rather. It was reflecting a shame. Anger pointed to, when I sat with it, a sense of not being able to get what I want and feeling really limited. So I'd really urge you to check out the contemplation playlist. Most of all, look at what emotion comes up. Your mind will say, I'm angry because the debt is still there, and I'll be peaceful once it's gone. Or I'm ashamed of myself because I'm still in debt. But really, what if it's the other way around? What if the debt is a reflection of shame or anger or something, which has a deeper root underneath? An idea that seems really true as a separate self, who we thought we were, but really isn't true for you. So contemplation is a way to take that belief, to find the belief underneath the emotion, and to question it, to challenge if it's true, long enough that we can't believe it anymore. And then it begins to reflect as abundance in our lives. So check out the contemplation playlist and have a go. Thanks, Valerie.
Hello, Helen. I'm 28 years old and have no idea what to do with my life. I feel useless and nothing really interests me except listening to non-duality and basking in awareness. As soon as I start to do something to make money, my stress takes over and I retreat into my practice, but it's starting to feel like I'm just escaping from life. I have so much resistance activity in my mind and body when I think about doing anything, and when I try to force myself, I look stressed, awkward, and confused at the same time. The pressure from outside factors like my girlfriend also my own desire to be good at something, enjoy doing it, and make good money is getting stronger and stronger. But what to do? How do I overcome my limitations? How do I find my calling in life? Thank you for everything you do. I watch you religiously every day.
Thank you. And I appreciate your kind words there. And first thing I really want to say is that it's good to change our perspective on this. There might be a feeling inside that something is going wrong here for you. But what if this is a sign that you have seen the truth enough times, deeply enough, its course is still ongoing, but that seeing is now wanting to move outwards into some kind of expression in form? And you pointed to, you said this word, purpose, I think, finding what that purpose is, and also wanting to make money. And if we look at this now as awareness has rested within itself, but now there's a movement back into form, which happened for me also. And it's coming from I want to live from this place in my life. I want there to be no difference between my rich inner world and my practices and my outer world and my day-to-day human existence. I want to feel the same peace no matter where my body is and what it's doing, who it's with, and all of that. So, looking at in terms of activity that the body does, wherever we feel we have to do something or make something happen, making money as an example, for me, there was a huge thing. Okay, I know I am awareness, but how do I pay the bills, And how do I respond to pressure from people who are saying, you should just go get a job and, stop wasting life and time. But somewhere underneath, I knew there was a different purpose if I had to get a job, and I have done before. But there was something calling that I didn't know what that was. And it was um, challenging to connect with that while I thought I was doing the actions that the body was doing. So simply said, when the body gets up to do something, go to work or uh, whatever it's doing, we tend to identify still for a long time as the doer of those actions. And then we're back in separation. If we check out awareness right now, it's not doing anything. It's just simply watching. Even right now, it's watching. I'm watching the hands wiggle around and the mouth talk, and it's just happening by itself as an outpouring of the recognition of who we are. And so for you now, it's good to investigate deeply. What are you actually doing here? And meaning, are you the one that's got to make money? It's a very popular idea, right, in the mind. And I had to let go of this idea. And again, sinking into the realization that there's a natural way that the body wants to move and that will reflect as abundance when it's not coming from the sense of separation as a someone doing. So there's a couple of questions you can ask. And the first is I'd really suggest asking for 30 days in a row, am I really doing anything? Noticing that when you think you are, that it's identification with what the body's doing or what the mind is doing. Or even our practices. I'm the one meditating. I had this sense of a doer there. I'm the one sending this question in to be read in Satsang. So these subtle identities hang on for a while. But indulging in some self-inquiry just to strip that away, which might feel scary because then how am I going to make money if I'm not doing anything? Well, actually, the question will be how did I ever stop the money coming in? Because it will flip right around from there. And you can ask an open question such as, what does my body want to do? Or how does money want to come in for me? And you take yourself out of the process there, right? Trying to figure it out. That feels terrible. And we're lost in separation again in that moment. Probably even now, there's some things that you love to do already. And that could just be going for a walk in nature or cooking a really nice healthy meal or whatever it is that you like to do already. There's a door there that's taking you towards your purpose. You can tell when you're getting closer to what the body and mind is here for by how you feel when you're doing it. But our mind usually dismisses that because it says there's no way to earn money from that. Or it doesn't seem like there is. The more time we just let the body do what it wants to do, of course, if you have to go to work, go to work. But the body's going to then lead you into ever greater, there'll be a series of synchronicities and things like that that happen, where something unfolds for you that you could not have constructed mentally in that way. So first, some self-inquiry to really recognize if you are the doer at all. Are you doing anything? Are you the doer of actions, the believer of thoughts, the chooser of choices or decisions. So really look at that. And then to ask an open question, what is my purpose? But without trying to figure it out. It's just like a stone you drop in a pond. What is my purpose here? What gives me joy? It's also the same question as what is my purpose? And somehow, some way, life will find a way to compensate you for that. When I first started teaching like this, there was no apparent way to pay the bills from it. And it just didn't matter in the end. I had to separate those two things. I had to do this because I loved it. I just love it still. Something within me just became alive when and it probably for you, it will look something very, very different. It won't look like spiritual teaching. It could be a very ordinary, worldly thing, but there's something you love to do. And then you're allowing this real self that you are, this awareness, to outpicture itself, to pour itself out through your actions. So life is trying to embody this awakening now. And that's why you're feeling this push to kind of move back into life. But this sense of a do is just kind of getting in the way. So again, if you need extra help, just write back in and let me know. But those would be my recommendations. There's lots of self-inquiry videos here on the channel. Um, and just play with these questions and see what happens. Most of all, recognizing if we're trying to figure it out, it's not going to be possible. If we're open to see that there's already a way that's just wants to reveal itself to us, then it's going to be a much smoother, easier process. Thanks, Valerie, when you're ready.
What is the first step I should take in my daily life to stop living from my ego's thought system?
Yeah, so the first and probably the simplest thing from which anything else that needs to happen will emerge is to try to develop a daily practice of meditation. So, meditation here in these teachings is a very direct form of meditation where we are literally bringing attention away from the ego's thought structure and bringing it back to what is real, to the awareness, the silence, the presence, as we're calling it. It's impossible to take attention away from the ego if we're trying to get rid of it. So, our meditation, and in fact, even our self inquiry and our contemplation, is a way to bring attention away from that thought structure, not because it's wrong or bad, just because it's not real, it's not true. It's not an actual living person. It's a collection of thoughts and emotional energies, beliefs, all of that tangled thought structure. So I'd suggest, and there's a lot of guided meditations here on the YouTube channel. There's a playlist um, of meditations that are about 20 minutes, and that's what I'm recommending each day, just 20 minutes of meditation. And just play around with. We have 14, we call them doorways, but they're just names like silence or stillness or presence. And some people like silence better as a doorway into the experience of what's real. It's just a word, silence, but it points to something, or being, the sense of beingness, or so there's 14 different ones, and they're all there in that playlist. Just have a play and see. It's totally fine to listen to a guided meditation and just don't worry about getting it right. Just start. There is no getting it right anyway, right? There's no perfect or terrible meditation. There's just have a go, and 20 minutes consistently each day is going to start to turn your whole life around. What if everything we're suffering from is really because a lot of attention is lost in that egoic structure? A lot of energy is going to it. So we're simply bringing attention away back to what is real. And we do that over and over again. Whenever we notice we're caught up in a meditation, in thoughts or something, bring attention back to the real self by whichever name or doorway we're using. So that'd be the first thing to establish yourself in. You might not be consistent with it at first, but make that your intention to move towards consistent practice every day. We can all squeeze 20 minutes in somewhere, and it will be fundamental shift that happens in your life as this starts to become a habit. This is the first thing that happened for me. So I hope that helps. Thanks, Valerie.
My nephew has mental illness, and my sister fell ill and now has memory loss and mental illness. I have to constantly help and don't feel peace. I want to move away to be with my son, but feel guilt. I realize I'm the watcher, but it doesn't seem to help.
Yeah, it's very, very common that life gives us circumstances where we don't seem to be able to do what we want to do. So what I would suggest is to look at what is going on in your external environment as a reflection, this experience of having to do these responsibilities as a reflection of the guilt and or some other emotion. And using the tool of contemplation. And again, there is a playlist here on the YouTube channel for contemplation. And it's really where we begin to see that we can't directly change the outside world because we're not really doing anything in that way. Our bodies are doing things, but we are not as awareness. Um, and that if something is happening that we don't really like or want, or we have a strong desire for something else, then that's probably a sign that what is naturally going to manifest for us in our life, or that desire being able to manifest, is being greatly diminished by this belief that is reflecting as the guilt and as this experience. So I would look at whatever emotion comes up around this. Probably there's a few of them, right? Frustration, guilt, you said, maybe even anger, whatever comes for you. And again, there's specific instruction on how to do this in the contemplation videos. And find the belief underneath the emotion and then ask for 30 days, is it really true? Mostly when something's happening in our life, we feel limited or restricted by that. We identify with what the body's limitations are and allow them to be superimposed on our own self as awareness. And then we go around in a kind of cycle of feeling limited and frustrated. We come to realize that we are not doing anything. We're not limited at all in that way. And the body begins to reflect, and our life begins to reflect that sense of being unlimited or a sense of freedom. And life will rearrange itself to give you circumstances that are more towards what you want in a way that works for everyone involved. So it's not just like, okay, I'll get what I want and I'll go over here and leave these people here that need me right now. Something will unfold that is good for them and you. And that's what's going to come from the truth. So dive into contemplation and see what happens. Check out the videos here on the channel. Thanks, Valerie.
Hello, Helen. Your videos are appearing for me, and I've subscribed to your channel. Much gratitude. I'm on a spiritual journey. During meditation this morning, I had an insight. If I am infinite nothingness, then there is no soul and nothing to heal. Is the soul also part of the dream? Am I beyond all this? Is there nothing to heal and no soul to be freed? No soul to save or pursue a purpose? Gratitude.
The answer that I'd want to give to this question is yes and no. So ultimately, no, there is nothing other than the infinite awareness. There's no such thing as a soul, we could say. But yes, also, that how that infinite awareness is appearing, first of all, is as a unique and individual expression of that oneness, of that awareness. So we could think of awareness as a jewel, maybe a diamond or something like that, and that this diamond has an infinite number of faces on it. So none of those faces are separate to the jewel itself or different from. They're made of the jewel, the diamond, right? But each one of them, if we looked in detail, is unique, completely different. Just like every blade of grass and every snowflake and every grain of sand is unique. There's never been the same one twice, nor will there ever be. We could look at our soul then as a unique individual, but not separate expression of the awareness, the unmanifested awareness, as it begins to move into form. It's a very subtle form, the soul, isn't it? An energetic form. And the soul then would be a collection of all the experiences that it's had, all of its desires, all of its unconscious beliefs, everything, all in this energetic package that we call a soul. And it keeps trying on human bodies and then taking them off again to try to work out its desires and have them happen, which are usually, for most of us, very simple desires of wanting to feel safe, wanting to feel loved, wanting to love, wanting to feel unlimited and free. So the soul is an energetic, a subtle thing, but there isn't really a separation between your soul and mine. And it's ultimately, as you said, unreal because it's not existing on its own, independent of awareness. So it's one of those yes and no answers. No, there is no separate soul, but yes, there is a soul that is an expression of awareness, made of awareness, appearing as energies, which then later moves into more solid matter, physical form. And in the perspective of the soul, there will very much be a purpose. And each one of us, as we begin to recognize what the soul really is, that it is infinite awareness, that perspective of the soul then is able to shine forth without limitations. All the beliefs that the soul has been carrying, that it's not good enough, that it's limited, that it's not safe, we begin to, during the awakening process, to shed all of those. And then the soul is then free to just express itself in form. What does that look like? It looks like someone who really feels what I'm doing right now in my life, what my life is exactly what I'm here for. This is what I'm here for. So if we're not feeling a connection with that purpose, it's probably just that there's some beliefs that were true for the sense of a separate self, but aren't true for who you really are. So we can look at the real self as the ocean and the souls as waves on that surface. Each wave is unique and individual, but never separate to the ocean. And by default, never really separate to each other. Where does one wave end and another one start? We can't really find that dividing line. So it's not a separate thing that can exist on its own, but it is an outpouring of awareness. And the outpouring of awakening to who we really are is going to result in that soul wanting to find its purpose and connecting with that. So I hope that helps. It's often quite a confusing area as we begin to see there's only one being. What are all these souls then, you know? So it comes up very, very often. Thanks, Valerie.
Hi, Helen. I would like your loving wisdom to help me deal with this situation. I have a 21-year-old daughter who has been diagnosed with bipolar disorder. She also confessed to me that she was sexually abused 3 times during her childhood and adolescence. Please tell me how I can be of further assistance because this information has deeply moved me. I hug you and I love you. Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you, and sending hugs back at what must be a very difficult time for your family. In my own journey, some very similar things came up for me as a parent many times, and I don't think there's any words that can describe that feeling when something is revealed to you about your children that is just so um, opposite to what you would want for them. So the first thing I would say is to allow yourself to feel whatever you're feeling. I know it must sound maybe obvious, but as parents, we don't often do that. We tend to try to be strong for our children or to put aside our own emotions about it so that we can be there to help more. And of course, you might not want to be crying or something all the time around your daughter, but if you can take some time to express your emotions in your own private time or with someone that can support you also, allowing whatever emotions need to be released. So probably a shock, a huge shock. And the second thing is that awakening itself is the best help that you can give. From the perspective of the recognition of who we really are, we have a capacity as parents that maybe we didn't know was there or even have the ability to tap into and to go through the best and the worst experiences with our children from there is possible with equanimity. What that means is there's things I'm going to like and not like, of course, as a parent. But underneath that, at the back of that, there is this stable knowing of who we are and who our children really are also as that deepens. That it might feel like my daughter or my son, but it's not really. They really are the awareness also. But paradoxically, from there, we have an ability to play the parent role with deep, loving compassion and a lot more energy as well to actually help on a physical level because we're not caught up constantly in what we think about the situation and paralyzed by, for me, there were such feelings of guilt. Oh, if I was a better parent, this would not have happened to my child. Um, or, similar things. As all that falls away, there's really just a being here now with the situation, with your child. And from that place, whatever arises, whatever words you say or actions you take, will be of benefit to your child. Also, you find that you're open enough to allow any resources that need to come, organizations that can help you support the situation and support you during the situation as well. So your awakening first and foremost is the best thing that you can do. But on a very simple, basic human level, as a parent also, I would say that awakening helped me to realize that it's okay that I do not know what to do to help in a situation like this. It's okay that I might not have any idea how to move forward or how to help. And in fact, that might even be the best resting place for us to go through this situation with our children, that I don't know what the best way forward is. But in that not knowing, if we're not beating ourselves up over that, there's an openness for life to show us what wants to happen here, what the best and highest thing is for everyone involved. So uncomfortable as it was for me as I started to embrace this, it's totally okay to be present here in this situation. I have no idea how to move forward. And then some sense of something would arise. Okay, why don't we do this? Why don't we try this? Or someone would say, my child went through something similar and we reached out to these people and they were so helpful. Have you done that? Some resources come in from seemingly miraculous ways. So there's three ways there. First is to feel what you're feeling. The second is to continue deepening in your awakening. And the third is simply to not know. It's okay to not know. You don't have to have it all figured out. And in fact, in a traumatic circumstance like this, it might even be easier to not know because there's just no way to know how to fix this. Sometimes it's even easier than I can't even begin to formulate what to do from there. So I hope that helps, and sending lots of love to you and your family. Thanks, Valerie. I think we better make this the last question.
Okay. So the way is for the mind to understand that it is not the I.
Yeah, well, mind can't really understand anything in the way that we're talking, in these teachings at least. Mind is a thought machine that will think thoughts based on who we know ourselves to be. So our meditation and our self-inquiry are ways of directly looking and seeing what the I is. What is this I? When I say I'm going to the store, or I'm tired, or I'm meditating, what is it we're referring to? And as we start to investigate that rather than think we know, um, even to think I am the infinite awareness is still fortifying this sense of a separate person that I refers to for most people. I is a mind and a body, isn't it? According to most people we might meet. But as we start to actually look in our inquiry, what is this I? Is it a form at all? The body's a form. The mind is a bunch of thought forms. But direct looking and seeing, begin to realize that I is something uh, that is not a thing, actually. I is insubstantial and formless. It can be a big shock, of course, at first. As we see that, though, more and more, it becomes more obvious that that's what's always been true. I have never been what I thought I was. Even thoughts about awareness aren't the same as seeing myself as awareness directly in a direct experience. As we see and see again what is true for us, that we are formless, emptiness, pure sentience before form, pure beingness, that all these forms are rising inside of you. Or that I, the smallest letter in the whole language, I is actually pointing to some omnipresence. And it was before referring to some body and mind. And that begins to change the content of the mind then. The mind begins to get with the recognition of what we really are. And there might be more thoughts start to appear in the mind about being formless rather than a body and mind, about not doing rather than doing, and so on. So rather than trying to change the mind, it's quicker and faster to allow it to change on its own as a reflection of seeing yourself, who you really are, what you really are. And the fastest way for that is self-inquiry. And if you feel a call to self-inquiry, check out the YouTube videos here on the channel, self-inquiry, and there's a playlist. Also check out the meditation as well if you haven't before, because that's also a way of recognizing what we really are. But this direct seeing. It's like I could think about what's outside this window right now. Sitting here, there's a window. just to my right. Um, I could think about it, right, forever, but it wouldn't be the same as actually turning to look what's outside. Self-inquiry is like actually looking, trying to find what am I exactly. So it's more, well, it's very direct actually. So I hope that helps. And thank you all for joining today, and thank you for all the questions you're sending in. Just a reminder that we do have a little queue sometimes that builds up of questions. We'll get to them each month. We'll record a video like this, as always. And just a reminder again that the link to submit a question will be underneath this video on when it's on YouTube. And thank you, Valerie, for reading for me so beautifully. And I will see you on the next satsang or video like this. Thank you so much. Namaste.